The Harrison family of Las Vegas's world-famous gold and silver pawn shop have seen their share of rare and expensive items over 15 seasons of the hit History Channel show Pawn Stars. From celebrity memorabilia to historic artifacts, some truly one-of-a-kind pieces have passed through the shop doors. Join Factsverse as we count down the costliest items ever acquired by the Pawn Stars team. 1915 rare gold coin. A customer came to Rick seeking a rare 1915 octagonal $50 gold coin, authorized by Congress for the Panama Pacific International Exposition. With only a handful still in existence, Rick found one at auction for $67,500 against a $70,000 budget. After 1932, around $70,000 today. Under the massive hood hid a thunderous V12 engine, putting out 150 horsepower, among the most powerful cars of its day. The seller was asking $100,000, but Rick's expert eye noticed minor flaws, knocking its value to $95,000. Though still pricey, Rick knew the Roadster's rarity and vintage power made it a worthwhile investment, and negotiated the sale. Owning this impeccably maintained 1930s hot rod added a unique and valuable classic car to the shop's inventory. Jimi Hendrix's guitar. Pawn Stars experienced a truly historic moment when a seller arrived with Jimi Hendrix's own 1963 Fender Stratocaster guitar. Rick could hardly contain his excitement at the prospect of owning a guitar played by one of the greatest rock guitarists of all time. After conducting extensive research to authenticate its provenance, the shop's guitar expert valued the instrument between $750,000 and $1 million. Though it represented a massive investment, Rick knew vintage guitars owned by legendary musicians can appreciate greatly in value over time. However, securing rock and roll relics requires paying a premium. The seller rejected Rick's $500,000 offer in hopes of landing a bigger price from a Hendrix aficionado. Despite missing out on this rare piece of rock history, Rick valued the chance to examine a guitar used by the iconic Hendrix at the dawn of his mind-blowing career. Some items require near-limitless funds that exceed even this shop's substantial resources. But encountering instruments played by all-time greats like Hendrix remains an incredible experience for Rick and the Pawn Stars crew. Maurice Sendak sketches. In Season 15, Rick visited an art gallery that was in possession of original sketches by renowned children's author Maurice Sendak. These were concept drawings Sendak had created for his seminal work, Where the Wild Things Are. Since Sendak never sold prints or reproductions of his Wild Things artwork, these preliminary sketches were incredibly rare. The owner wanted $375,000, but Rick secured an appraisal, estimating the sketch's value at $310,000. Given Sendak's legacy as a literary giant in the worlds of kids' books, plus the rarity of Wild Things artwork available for purchase, Rick decided to negotiate. He convinced the owner to accept $250,000, making the Sendak sketches the most expensive item ever purchased on Pawn Stars at the time. It was a massive payout, but Rick knew the immense public affection for Sendak's crowning creative achievement would allow him to profit from this unparalleled purchase. Owning original pieces used to design Where the Wild Things Are cemented the gold and silver pawn shop as a destination for high-profile collectibles. The Beatles Contract. In Season 6 of Pawn Stars, a seller brought in a remarkable piece of rock and roll history: the original 1962 contract between the Beatles and manager Brian Epstein. This contract outlined the terms that would guide the band's early years, including Epstein receiving 25% of the Beatles' gross earnings. It was signed by John Lennon, Paul McCartney, George Harrison, and original drummer Pete Best prior to Ringo Starr joining the group. The seller was seeking a $1 million astronomical payout for the contract, given its immense cultural value and connection to arguably the biggest band in music history. But expert analysis revealed it was actually only worth around $500,000. Though the contract's authenticity was undisputed, its high price tag was beyond what Rick was willing to pay. He made a counter-offer of $350,000, but the seller opted to take the contract to auction and the world's most famous car-eating, fire-breathing, transforming robot dinosaur. This ferocious animatronic T-Rex is operated by hydraulic power, as it would have been to have a car-crushing dinosaur on call. That 9-figure price tag was too rich for even the gold and silver pawn shop's blood. O.J. Simpson's Bronco. Few vehicles in American history have reached the level of infamy attained by the 1993 white Ford Bronco previously owned by O.J. Simpson. In 1994, he was charged with the murders of his ex-wife, Nicole Brown Simpson, and her friend Ron Goldman. Rather than turning himself in to police, Simpson fled in the Bronco, leading to a televised chase witnessed by 95 million viewers. The low-speed pursuit ended with Simpson back at his home where he surrendered. Though he was eventually acquitted of criminal charges, the spectacle cemented the Bronco's place in the public consciousness. When the Bronco's current owner brought the vehicle to the gold and silver pawn shop, Rick recognized the immense notability it held, but he balked at the $1.25 million asking price, feeling the car's dark history made it undesirable despite its fame. Rick had purchased many vehicles for impressive prices in the past, but the Bronco's connection to a gruesome double murder gave him pause. Combined with that exorbitant cost, he decided to take a pass on purchasing O.J. Simpson's infamous getaway car. George Washington's suit. In season 15 of Pawn Stars, Rick had the opportunity to view a remarkable piece of American history, a three-piece silk suit worn by George Washington. The 18th century suit was in extraordinary condition given its age of nearly 300 years. Washington was known for adhering to the finest dress standards of his time, preferring only the highest quality garments, so this suit would have been a prized part of his wardrobe. The seller presented extensive documentation proving the suit's provenance and was asking $3 million due to its immense historical significance. Washington wore this elegant pink suit during his time as the first president of the United States at the dawn of America's democracy. Rick was clearly in awe of the chance to see such an important artifact firsthand, but the massive price tag gave him pause. He made a counteroffer of $2.5 million, but the seller held firm at $3 million. No deal was reached, but it was an unforgettable experience for Rick. Now it's time to hear from you. Of all the expensive items featured, which one shocked you the most? Let us know in the comments section below.